Right. So in the last session, we have seen how to implement the framework, right, for RestAssured automation test cases. And this is a project we have created in Eclipse, and under this we created the folder structure. And also we have this is a project, so we have created folder structure, and we have automated some of the test cases. And now we have executed all the test cases using TestNG.xml. Right. So here we've specified all the list of test cases, and then we have executed all the test cases here. So till here we have done in the last session. So this is completely implementation part. So once we have done the implementation, the next level is we should able to execute our automation in multiple ways. So one way of executing our automation is using TestNG.xml. And once you executed your automation script using TestNG.xml, so your test cases will be executed within the Eclipse. So you need this editor. So within the Eclipse only you can execute them. So for example, I want to execute my test cases outside of Eclipse. So for example, from command prompt, I want to execute. So without having Eclipse, then how we can do that? And that is one way of executing. And the other way of executing is within the Eclipse itself, we have a pom.xml, right? So with using pom.xml also, we can execute our test cases within the Eclipse. And in the command prompt also, we can execute our test cases. And finally, we should be able to execute our test cases in Jenkins. So that's a continuous integration tool. So now we will see execution part. So how many ways we can execute framework or test cases, right? So the first approach is using TestNG.xml file. So we already have a TestNG.xml file. So here we need to specify all the test cases, list of the test cases, then we can execute it. This is one way of execution. The second way is pom.xml we have used so far only for specifying the dependencies. So whatever the dependencies are required for our project, we specified them in the pom.xml. And we can also use pom.xml to run the test cases, right? So even pom.xml also will internally execute this XML file. But this is this is also one way we have to execute our test cases. But we need to add certain number of plugins, some additional plugins which we need to add in the pom.xml, and then we can execute our test cases through pom.xml. So these two approaches are within Eclipse. So within Eclipse, we can execute our test cases either using TestNG.xml or pom.xml. But if you want to execute outside of the Eclipse, we can also execute. So that is another approach. That is command prompt. So using command prompt, we can execute. And here through run.bat file also we can execute. So we will create simple one file called run.bat. So this is a Windows executable file, batch file. Inside this file, you can specify the commands whichever we are going to execute in the command prompt. And just if you double click on this file, your entire automation suite will be executed. And the final step is we should be able to run our automation script in Jenkins. So Jenkins is a continuous integration tool. So where we need to create some project and configuration, then we can execute our test cases. So these are the different ways of executing our test cases which are present inside the framework. So today we are going to focus all the type of executions. So TestNG.xml, pom.xml. So these two files are Eclipse internal files. So TestNG.xml we already executed in the last session. So let me just execute one more time. So before executing that, we need to specify the EMP ID here. That is a prerequisite because this API is basically not in our control because these APIs are not developed by us, right? So if I have developed these APIs, we have complete access on the database, and we can get some sample email IDs, EMP IDs. So those EMP IDs we can hard code in your code. So every time you don't need to change them. But these APIs are not in our control. So the database there in some different location. So these IDs will vary. So that's the reason I'm just hard coding this value every time. But in the real scenario, we don't need to change anything every time. Okay. So in the Postman, I'm running the same request. It will give you what are all employees are available in the database. So now I'm using one of the ID and put it here. Now I want to execute my test cases using TestNG.xml. Now open your TestNG.xml. So here I already specified all the test cases. And now I'm executing this. So run as TestNG suite. So if you execute these test cases, it will go like this. So one after another. So all the test cases will be executed. So everything is executed. Some of them are got failed. Or maybe the response is not properly getting. So in those cases, those APIs may be failed. So if you rerun one or twice and everything will be passed. Okay, so now everything is executed. So there are 34. There is one failure we have. Let us see what is that failure. So in the test case 2, response check response body is failure. So test case 2, what is the test case 2? Get single employee, right? So here response body is getting failed. I think so. This EMP ID, right? So this EMP ID is not available in the database by the time we process it here. So let us cross check 1 second. So that ID is gone. So that's the reason that is getting failure. So as soon as you copied this, immediately we need to execute your TestNG.xml. So again, I'm running TestNG.xml one more time. So now it is executing. So again, it is getting failed. So maybe that ID is randomly generating. It is not there in the database. So that's the reason that test case is failure. So no issues. So we have successfully executed our test cases through TestNG.xml. So this is again Eclipse internal feature. Okay. Suppose I want to execute my test cases using pom.xml. So that's the next thing. So even pom.xml also the internal feature of Eclipse. So if you go and see pom.xml file, so in the pom.xml file, I have added some of the plugins. Let me just close these things. So this is my pom.xml. So we already know about dependencies. So we have added certain number of dependencies, and then it will automatically download all the jars and attach it to our project. So in addition, so pom.xml also having some kind of entries called as a plugins. So this is one plugin and this is another plugin. So what is this plugins meaning is Maven compiler plugin, Maven surefire plugin. So there are two plugins are available. So what is the use of these plugins basically is the first plugin will compile your project, and the second plugin will execute your project. So here if you see TestNG.xml file I have specified. So this particular plugin will execute TestNG.xml internally. So whatever test cases we configured in the TestNG.xml, so those test cases will be executed. So these are the two additional plugins which we need to add under build and plugin stack. So we need to add additional tag. So this is a completely new stuff, guys. So here build tag is started, and here is end tag, and here plugins tag, and here plugins tag is end. So this is first plugin, this is the second plugin. So these two plugins are required if you want to execute test cases through pom.xml. So there are two plugins are required. Plugins are required to execute project through pom.xml file. Right, so what are those plugins? So one is Maven compiler plugin, and the second one is Maven surefire plugin. So these are the two plugins we require. So to run your project using pom.xml. All right. So let me save this file. All right. So these are the two plugins we require. So now I have added these two plugins in my pom.xml. So along with the dependencies. Now how to execute this pom.xml? So to execute the pom.xml, we can directly right click here, run as. You can see a lot of options here. So here we have a Maven build, Maven clean, Maven install, Maven test. So these are all the different options are available in Maven. And now we need to run this particular project as Maven test. So this is an option which we need to use. So we have to run the complete project as a Maven test. But previously how we have run this XML, we have run as a TestNG test, TestNG suite. But this time we have to run pom.xml as Maven test. Okay. So before doing this, again, I'll try to change the EMP ID. Okay, so let me just take one of the ID and I'll put it here. And what I can do is I can just put some time here. 5 seconds I put here. Get employee data. I'll just say only 3 seconds. Okay, fine. So now let us execute pom.xml. So this is your pom.xml. So now I have added the dependencies along with the plugins. These are the plugins. Let's execute. So right click, run as Maven test. So this is the option which we need to use. So once you run your project, so now it is started running. So now it is started tests. So now it is started test case 1 and it started test case 2 now. So you can see all the log messages. So we already implemented logs for your test case, right? So the log messages also will be there. So now test case 4 is executing, 5 is executing. This is the last test case, I guess. Yes, now everything is fine. So there are some failures are there. So there may be some test case got failed. So finally we got the build failure. So normally if everything goes well, you will get build success. And if there is any issue or any test case got failed, finally you will say build failure. So it will show you how many we have run and how many failures we have. So there is only one failure, again the same test case. Get single employee record and check response body. We are expecting true, but it is false. So which one is getting failed? So this is the test case which is getting failed. Check response body. So this is exactly getting failed. Okay, so this is a ENP ID, and we also specified here ENP ID, right? So ENP ID, the same value we are referring here. Body contains the ENP ID. Fine. Okay, so sometimes if the EMP ID is not available in the database at the time of getting this EMP ID, it will getting failed. Okay, so that's the reason. Maybe I can put something called 7 here, and we'll see this time. So now I have run my test cases through pom.xml file. All right. So once you have executed, you will see the build failure, or if everything goes well, you will see the build success. Okay. So one more time through Postman I'm running, and I'll get one of the ID from here and go to the test base, and I'll replace this ID, save it, and go to your pom.xml and run one more time. Maven. Just a moment. So right click, Maven. You should get those options, guys. If it is not getting, we need to properly select this pom.xml. This is your pom.xml. Right click, run as Maven test. So again, I have run my pom.xml file. It is started. Okay, so this time the second test case got passed. So now it is started test case 4, 5. Okay, so now this time everything goes well, and our build is success. So all the test cases are successfully executed within Eclipse using pom.xml. So this is the next level of execution. So we have to add these two plugins in the pom.xml, then we can execute our complete test suite. So now once we have successfully executed pom.xml, then we can also execute your test cases through command prompt. Until unless these two are successful, we cannot go for the next level, because everything is a dependent. Okay, until unless TestNG.xml is not successful, then we cannot execute through pom.xml, because pom.xml itself will internally use TestNG.xml. Similarly, until unless pom.xml is not working, so we cannot directly go to the command prompt. Okay, so these are dependents. So we have successfully executed our test cases using TestNG.xml and pom.xml so far. Now we need to execute our test cases through command prompt, that is outside of your Eclipse. So what I can do is, first of all, we need to capture the location of your project, and right click properties, go to your resources, and here I can get the location of your project. Now you can minimize this Eclipse. Now we don't require Eclipse. Now go to your project location, wherever it is. Now these are the different files we created inside a project, right? So here we have a pom.xml. So in the same location, I'll open the command prompt. I just say cmd, and this will open up the command prompt like this. So currently we are in the same project location. Or suppose if you are there in some other location, suppose I am opening one more command prompt. Suppose if I open the command prompt like this, and if you want to navigate to this project, you can also add cd command, cd, and you can specify the wherever the location is present. So this is actual project location, right? Let me just put it here. Let me again copy, right click, properties. This is the location. Now specify this location. So this is the project location. I just copying and put here cd. This is a command if you are there in the different directory. Okay, so cd command, what this will do is it will go to this particular location. Now press enter. Now it will, currently my cursor is present inside this particular folder. Now currently I'm in the project. So here the pom.xml is present, so we should able to execute pom.xml through commands. So through Maven commands we should able to execute. But before executing this, there is a prerequisite. So if you want to execute your test cases through command prompt, we have to install Maven software. We have to install Maven software, because Maven is available within the Eclipse. So Maven is available in the two different flavors, guys. So Maven is available in two different flavors. The first flavor is it is available as a plugin. So it is available as a plugin within Eclipse. So within Eclipse. So that's the reason we are able to create our Maven project. We are able to update pom.xml, and we are also able to execute your project within Eclipse. But if you come out from Eclipse, this Maven will not work, because this particular Maven plugins work only within the Eclipse. But if you want to work with the Maven outside of the Eclipse, so we need to install the Maven software on Windows. So Maven is available as a plugin within the Eclipse, and the other one is Maven is also available as a complete software on operating system. Maven available as a software on operating system. So Maven is also supported multiple operating systems. So we can install on Windows, Mac, or Linux, or Unix. So now we need to install this Maven software on Windows operating system. So this is a prerequisite before running your test cases through command prompt. Okay, so now let me install the Maven. So now we need to install the Maven. So that's a prerequisite. So how to install the Maven? So here through command prompt I'm executing. So execute tests. So execute test cases through command prompt. Okay, so to execute your test cases through command prompt, so what we need to have? So we need to have Maven software. So Maven software we need to download and install. We need to download, install Maven software. So that is a prerequisite. So that is a prerequisite. Okay, so once we have this one, then we can execute your test cases through command prompt. So let me show you how to install Maven software. This is very simple. I'll show you how to install Maven on Windows operating system. So let's go to Google, and even Maven is also from Apache Foundation. So here we need to download Apache. Just type Apache Maven for Windows 10. So if we just search for Maven, so it will, by default, it will go to official website. So this is official website of Apache Maven. So from this particular website, we need to download Maven software. So here there are multiple flavors are available for multiple operating systems. So we need to download this one. So zip file. So Windows support zip. And again, there are two kinds of files, bin as well as src. So src contains the source code. So we don't require the source code. We need a binary. So binary in the sense, it is available in the form of jar files. Okay. So we need to download binary zip archive. So this one we need to download. So I will give you this link, direct link. You can just open this link and it will start downloading one zip file. So once you downloaded this particular zip file, you need to extract this and keep that file in somewhere in the C drive or somewhere. Extract that folder. So once you have extracted, you will see this particular folder, Apache, Maven, and version of the Maven. So if you go inside this particular folder, you will see so many files. And inside the bin folder also you can see some Maven files. And inside the lib also you can see so many jar files. So this is how we need to just download the Maven zip file and extract that zip file and keep that zip file somewhere in the C drive or E drive, wherever you want. Okay. And this is not the installation. So we have just downloaded and extracted the file folder and keep that particular folder in somewhere in your system location. So the second thing is we need to configure the path. So the first step, how to install Maven on OSC, the first step is download. Download Maven and extract it. Extract folder or extract the zip file. So once you have extracted zip file, you will get this particular folder. So now what we need to do is we need to go to bin directory and then copy this location till bin folder. Now right click on the PC because we need to set environment variable just like a Java. Now go to properties. So in the properties you can see advanced system settings. And once you click on advanced system settings, here you can go to environment variables. Now here you need to go to path variable. So path, select the path and click on edit. And here you can see a lot of things. So there are so many paths are there. So now we need to do is we need to click on the new button, then paste it over here. So just copy the Maven path here till bin folder. That's it. So I already have earlier here. So I already copied this path here. So I'm just removing this. So once you have added your path, then click on OK, OK, and close all the windows. So this is how we need to set a path. Okay, so once we have done this, extracted this, the second step is we need to set Maven path in environment variables. So once we set this Maven path, so where we need to set, so right click again this PC, one more time I'm showing you. Right click on the PC, go to properties, go to advanced system settings and go to environment variables. Here select the path variable, click on the edit, don't go for new. Okay, so click on the edit. Now in this list we need to add by clicking on new button. Here we need to paste that path and then OK, then again OK, then OK, and then close this window. So this is how we need to set a path. So once you set the Maven path in environment variable, so then we need to check Maven is properly installed or not. This is just an installation. We don't have any exe file. Okay, we don't have any navigations to click next. It is not a that kind of installation. So just we need to download the zip file, extract the zip file, set path in the environment variable. So these are only 3 steps we need to do that. Okay, so how we can verify the Maven is installed or not? Verify Maven installed on Windows or not. So how we can verify is once you set the path, just now go to your new command prompt, open your new command prompt, CMD. This will open up the new command prompt. Here you need to type one command, mbn space version, hyphen version. So this particular command will give you the version number of your Maven which is installed in your system. So if it is provided version number like this, that means it is successfully installed. And if it's not properly installed or not properly set proper path, so then it will give you an error. Okay, so now this is Apache version currently I have on my Windows operating system. So this Apache Maven is operating system flavor. Okay, so this is not a plugin. This is a complete software which we have installed on operating system. And the plugin which we have installed, which we have in Eclipse, is that is just a plugin. So outside of the Eclipse, it will not work. Okay, So now we have successfully installed Maven. So this is a prerequisite. So now we can run our test cases using command prompt. Now go to your command prompt. So I already opened this command prompt earlier. So currently I am in the project location, right? So in this here itself, my project files are available. If I type dir command, it will give you all the files, project related files. So here we have a pom.xml file. So now I should able to execute this pom.xml through Maven command. So there is a command that is mvn, and I will give you two commands. One is a clean command, because if there are any logs or any unnecessary information will be cleared. mvn clean install. So this is a command I'm giving, clean install, mvn clean install. So this particular command will execute your pom.xml file. So through command prompt, we don't need to go for Eclipse, but I need to update the employee ID, right? So I'm just go and update the employee ID there. So let me just capture one employee ID and then go to test base. I will update here. The same project will be executed. Now I'm minimizing the Eclipse. So I will run my project from the command prompt. Now observe how this will execute. What is the command? mvn clean install. First we need to go to project location, then specify mvn clean install command. Press enter. So once you press enter, it will start executing your project. So you will get some warnings, you can just ignore them. Okay, now my tests have started through command prompt. So I don't have Eclipse. Even if you close the Eclipse, nothing will happen. So now you can see it is also printing all the outputs. You can see the logs very clearly, what is exactly happening inside. So started test case 3. And then it will start it again test case 4. So test case 5 is deleted, started. Once it is completed, finish all the stuff. So everything is done, and finally we got the build success. So all 34 tests have executed. There are no failures, no errors, no escape. So everything goes well. So this is how we should execute your test cases through a command prompt. So what are the commands we have to give? So execute test cases through command prompts. These are the prerequisites. So once we have done, the command is open the command prompt, open command prompt. And once you open the command prompt, what is the first command we have given? cd, the location of your project, right? So we have given the location of your project. So this is a command we have given, first command. Let me copy this. So cd command. So this command will go to the project location. And then here in the next command, what I have given, mvn clean install. So this is the command I have given. So these two commands will execute your complete project. Actually, this is the actual command will execute your project. Okay. So this is how we should able to execute your test cases using command prompt. Now, even I don't want to write these commands every time. So whenever I want to run my project, every time I need to type these commands, right? Multiple times. But even I don't want to write these commands. What I can do is I can just copy these two commands in the bat file. And if you just click on the bat file, the entire suite will be executed. So that's the next level it's executed. So how we can execute through run.bat. So execute test cases using run.bat file. Run.bat file. So how to execute now? First we need to create run.bat file, and inside the run.bat file we have to copy these two commands directly. Okay, so go to your project location. So where is your project location? This is your project location. I'm just navigating to your project location. So here you have run.bat file, so which is already created. But how you need to create is, you can give any name to this case. Run.bat is just have given a meaningful name. So you can also give anything, but the extension should be bat file. So how to create this file is just simple. Right click, new. First to take the text file, because we don't see any bat file here. So first take the text file itself. Now give some name. I'll say run1. So run is already there. So I'm saying run1.bat and remove the txt extension. completely remove the txt extension. Now it is asking, are you sure you want to change it? Yes. Now it is turned into bat file. The icon is also changed. Now we need to open this bat file in the Notepad++ or Notepad. Right click, click on the edit, it will open in the Notepad. So whatever commands we have executed earlier, when I run the command prompt, same commands will be put it here. The same commands. And now save the bat file and close this bat file. So now next time onwards, I no need to open this command prompt manually. And also I can just execute the run.bat file. It will go and execute your run.bat file. So when I double click on this, it will automatically open the bat file command prompt, and whatever commands we have inserted in this bat file will be executed. So before that, I will just update one of the employee ID. Just a moment, click on the send. So now I got some data. See, now I don't get much data sometimes. So only one record is available. So let me use this. Go to your Eclipse and I'll change this one. Okay. So now go to your command prompt. So go to your project location. So I'm just double click on the run1.bat file. So double click on this. So it will directly open the command prompt. See, now it is automatically navigated to the folder, executed Maven clean command, and it is running your project. So this is with a single click, we can execute the entire stuff. So in the real time, there will be hundreds and 200s of test cases will be there. It will take a long time. So normally what testers will do is they will initiate the runs and they will minimize it. They can focus on some other tasks. So you don't need to go and see each and everything because logs will be there. So after execution, anyway, you'll get the reports and statuses. You will easily know what are the things are failure, what are the fails, all these things. So finally, what happens is I got some errors and immediately the window is also closed after execution. But if you want to know exactly what are all failures or happen, so you can just go to the log folders, logs, and this contains the logs, right? So here we can see which test case failed, what test case it is exactly passed. So started and finished. And here everything is information. So here it is giving some warning, right? So this is getting failure. So I said some content length is something, but it is giving some content length is 100. Maybe this test case is getting failed. So what is this test case? I think the test case 1 itself. Okay, test case 1 itself is got failed. Maybe the content is not correct. So this is the way we should able to execute your project through run.bat file. Okay, just put those commands and execute the bat file whenever you want to execute your project. So that's the next level of execution. So run your test cases using run.bat file. So third and fourth are exactly same, guys, because in the third step, we have manually written those commands, but in the fourth step, we put those commands in the run.bat file and executed the run.bat file. So that's the only thing we have done, but both are exactly the same thing and both will execute your test cases using command prompt only. Okay. So now the final one is Jenkins. So we need to just understand what is Jenkins, where exactly we have to use Jenkins. So in the real time, what happens is there are multiple teams will be there. So like developers, testers, and DevOps. There are multiple teams works collaboratively. So here, let's say developers team is there. So they are responsible for developing application, writing the code, all these things they will take care. And QA team is also there. These people are again downloading the builds, testing the APIs or applications. So automation, all these things will be taken care by the QA team. So between these two teams, there will be another team called as a DevOps team. So development operations. So DevOps is not a technology. It is just a process. And in this, there are multiple people are working as a team. So we know what developer will do and we know what QA will do. But what the DevOps people will do is, so the DevOps people will provide certain kind of infrastructure where we can collaborate something from developers as well as QA. So these people will share some tasks from developers as well as QA. So from the developers, what these people will do is, as at the end of the day, all the developers will complete their code and keep that code in some common place. From that place, they will get that code and create the build. Build is nothing but the final integrated product. So creation of the builds will be taken care. From the QA perspective, at the end of the day, even automation testers also will complete the code and keep that code in a common place. So DevOps team will get that particular code, automation code, will execute against this particular build. So 90% of the sanity smoke testing will be done in this environment itself. This is all automatic process. But how the DevOps will execute our test cases is using Jenkins tool. So how they will create the build is using Maven tool. Maven is a build tool. That's the reason initially I told Maven is a build tool. So using Maven, they will create the build. Using Jenkins, they will run our automation tests against the build. So this is actually DevOps team will do that. So now we need to execute our test cases using Jenkins, because DevOps team will execute our test cases as soon as the build is created. And if our build is successful, our test cases are successful in Jenkins, then only the build will be approved, or build will be eligible to download and continue the rest of the testings. Okay, this is called as a continuous integration process. Developer will check in the code, and it will create the build, and Jenkins will pick the test cases from QA team. So whatever we already done earlier, so those test cases will pick it up. And there are new test cases will be there. So in the new feature, we are going to automate as soon as we completed our test cases, as and when we need to check in that code in the common repository. So from there, Jenkins will get the code and execute against the build. So this is exactly process will happen. So there Jenkins will be used. So Jenkins is a continuous integration tool. Through Jenkins, we will able to execute our test cases seamlessly. Seamlessly means we cannot see any screens or anything. Completely headless process. So at the back end, it will execute. Okay, even Selenium test cases also will execute in the same way. Now, let me try to, okay, so now we need to install Jenkins also. So if you want to run our test cases through Jenkins, we have to install Jenkins. So execute test cases using Jenkins. So execute test cases using Jenkins. So now I will show you how to execute test cases using Jenkins. So normally in the real-time environment, you don't install anything. Okay, so even Jenkins also you don't install in your local systems. Jenkins will be installed on the build server in the DevOps environment, and they will give you access to you. So they will create an account for you, and they will share that account details, and you should be able to log into the particular Jenkins application to configure your test cases, to configure your project. So you will have a minimal level access on the Jenkins. So here, if you want to run your test cases in Jenkins, we need to install Jenkins software. So this is actually responsibility of the developers, but for practicing purpose, we can also install Jenkins in our local systems. So how we can install Jenkins? We can install Jenkins in multiple ways. One is we can download one exe file, and we can just double click on the exe file. It will execute, it will go through certain number of steps, and finally it will execute it will install the Jenkins. That is one process, and that is again permanent. And one more thing is we can also install Jenkins temporarily. So I no need to install the complete software. For just 1 or 2 runs, I need a Jenkins. Then we can just download Jenkins one war file, which we need to run that particular war file. Temporarily, Jenkins will work on your systems. I'll show you. I will share some documentation here, because these are all not a simple things. It will take a lot of time to understand in detail. So a lot of things are there. So after the session, I will also share some of the video links, and you can go through those links, how Jenkins exactly work, and DevOps and QA and developer, how these people will collaboratively works together one task. So all these things I have covered in my video sessions. So they are already available in YouTube. So I'll just share those video links after the session, and please learn those concepts, because those topics are very, very important to understand these things. Okay, and I will also share you how to install Jenkins, how to configure the Jenkins, all these things. But this will take a lot of time, but I will show you very simple way to install Jenkins. So what you need to do is you need to go to Jenkins, just search for Jenkins in your Google, and this is the official website of Jenkins, jenkins.io. Now in this particular website, so if you just come down, or else go to download, so it will go to another page. So in this particular page, there are so many versions are available, right? So the most important version for practicing purpose, we can download this one, generic Java package, .war file. So this is also just like a jar file in Java, but the rest of them are installers. They will provide exe files. Then we need to install exe files, but this is a simple one. Okay, so once you click on this one, it will download a war file, Jenkins.war file. I'm just canceling it because it's a huge size, 73.8 MB. I'm canceling this because I already have it. So I will provide you this link, and first we need to download Jenkins. Download Jenkins from this URL. So once you downloaded this jar file, war file, what you need to do is, you need to keep that war file somewhere in your C drive or somewhere else, anywhere. So I created one folder called Jenkins. So inside the Jenkins, I keep it my file, Jenkins.war file. So now we need to run this particular file, and then your Jenkins application will up and run. So what I will do is, I will just open the command prompt here, and in the same location, my Jenkins.war file is available. So here what I will do is, I will just give some command called java-jar. So Jenkins.war. So java-jar is a command which will execute Jenkins.war file. So once you executed this, it will take few minutes of time. So we need to wait for a few seconds. So once you downloaded this war file, what is the command to run? So open the command prompt. Open command prompt. So once you open the command prompt, you need to write a command java. Open the command, go to the location. Okay, go to file location. So then here we need to write command java-jar jenkins.war. So this command will execute your war file. Now it will take few seconds of time. Finally, you will get one message. Jenkins is fully up and running. So you have to wait till you got this particular message. Jenkins is fully up and running. Now, once you get this message, don't close this window. If I close this window, Jenkins will be closed. So you have to minimize this window until unless you have completed task in Jenkins. So keep on your work. If you keep on working on Jenkins, this particular window still open. It should not close in the middle. Okay. So minimize this window. So once you minimize, then go to your URL, Google Chrome. And normally Jenkins will run in your local host. Now I have installed my Jenkins in my local system. So I'll say localhost colon 8080 is a port number. So this is a default port number. Our Jenkins will up and running. So press enter. Now it will log in into Jenkins. But first time when you do all these things, it will give you some administrator password. You have to log in it, and then you have to create a user, and you have to install some kind of plugins. There are a lot of things are there, but I will share small documentation. You guys can follow the same steps, how to install Jenkins. Okay. So now, so here, this is actually I didn't get any login screen because by default, you will get the login screen. Okay. So because I'm just say direct login option the first time. So that's the reason they directly log into Jenkins. So this is a Jenkins dashboard, guys. So here, whatever you have seen, these are the different projects I have run earlier. But for you, in your case, you don't see everything. So this is simple a dashboard, nothing else. In your case, you don't see all these things. Okay. So now we need to run your project through Jenkins. So that's the main ultimate goal, right? So my Jenkins is up and running. So don't close this window, keep open, just minimize it. So now how to run your test cases using Jenkins. So we already created run.bat file earlier, right? So just we need to run this run.bat file within the Jenkins. So let's go to your Jenkins. So here we need to create a new item. So go to your new item. So here we need to give some project name. Whatever project we are going to execute, we need to give some name because this is a one-time job you need to do. So once you created a project, do the configuration. So any number of times you can execute your project as and when we required. Every time you don't need to do this configuration. All right. So now here we need to specify the name of the project. So I'll just give some name, that is employee underscore RestAssured project. So employee RestAssured project. So once you have given this particular name, then select the freestyle project here. Now click on OK button. So it will go to another page. So remember the project name. So employee RestAssured project. So in this particular page, we need to do certain configurations. So you don't need to select anything, directly go to build section. So in this build section, just you need to select one of the command called execute Windows batch command, because run.bat is a batch command, okay, on Windows. So we need to select this particular option, execute Windows batch command. So here we need to first go to your project location. So let's say CD, where is your project location? This is your project location. This is a command we have to give first. And once you've given this command, so this command will go to the command prompt. So this command will go to your project location. So there itself run.bat file is present. So I'm just say run.bat. So after navigating to this location, whatever bat file is available, so it will execute that particular run.bat file. That's it. So once you have done this, then click on apply and then save it. Okay, once we have done this, now again, once you have saved it, just go back to your project, save it. Once you saved, you will go back to your project. So this is your specific project dashboard. So previously what we have seen is complete all projects we can see in the home page dashboard. Suppose if you want to see specific project dashboard, you need to click on one of the projects. So where is our project here? The first one, employee RestAssured project. So currently the bar is in gray color. So because it is not executed so far at least once. And blue color representing build is successful. Your test cases are successful. Red is nothing but your test cases are got failure. Some test cases got failure. So that is a representation. So if you click on your project again, it will go to project dashboard. So this is a specific project dashboard. Now you can execute this particular project in multiple ways. So either we can execute this project from here itself, from the main homepage dashboard. Here you can just select this small triangle and here click on build now. So you can click on this one, it will execute your project. Or we can also click on this one. The last option is there. So you can click on this, your project will be executed. Or just go to your project homepage. So this is your project specific dashboard. And here also you can see the same icon, build now. Even if you click on this one, it will also execute here. Okay. So let me execute here. Meanwhile, what I can do is I will just again change the ID of the employee. So I am getting a lot of things this time. So I'm just taking one of the ID. So now minimize Eclipse, nothing, we don't require anything. We already configured the project. So now go to your, so from here also we can execute. Now I'm clicking on build now option. Observe this, what will happen. So when I click on the build now, it will give you one progress bar here. See now, this is a progress bar. So again, once you click on this progress bar, just click here. It will give you log messages. So here we can know easily what is exactly happening in the backend. See, tests have started here. So all the test cases are executing one after another. So let's wait and see. So always it will take some time, guys. Okay, Jenkins will take some time. So started TC4 and completed. Now it is started TC5. So it is also finished. So now we can see completely build is successful. That means all the test cases have executed successfully. So once it is successful, then it should exit from the Jenkins. So it should immediately exit from the Jenkins. So, but sometimes my Jenkins is hanging here. So that's a simple problem in the Jenkins itself. But it should exit here. So once it is exited, then if you go to the project dashboard again, go to back to the dashboard and again still executing because already successful. But the only thing is it is not properly exiting from the project. Okay. And go to your back to project, still it is blinking here and it is still showing the execution progress, right? So once it is exited, then this ball will be turned into blue color like this. It will be successful. Okay, this is an issue with the Jenkins. So Jenkins is basically hanging after execution of successful. It is not exiting, but it should exit after some time. And then your ball will be turned into blue color like this. So that means your project is successfully executed in Jenkins. Okay, so this is a the last one. So this is the last level. So to run your test cases in Jenkins, we need to cross all the steps. First, we need to check with the TestNG.xml, then check with the pom.xml, then check in the command prompt commands. In the command prompt, we need to give commands. We need to provide some commands. And then run.bat file include the commands. And finally, we have executed Jenkins. And if you're not successful one of this approach, we cannot go to the next level. So once everything is successful, then finally we come to the Jenkins part. So in the Jenkins, we are able to execute our test cases. In the Jenkins, we are able to execute our test cases. Okay, so that is all about execution phase, guys. So we have implemented our test case framework, and also we have executed our test cases in TestNG.xml, pom.xml, using command prompt, through run.bat file, and through Jenkins. So this is all about execution part. Fine. So now we have 3 phases we have discussed in the earlier, right? So what are those 3 phases? One is design and development. Design and development of framework. Design and development of framework. We have done this. Now the second step is execution of your framework. So how many ways we can execute? Also we have done this. And the last thing is the maintenance of your framework. Maintenance. Maintenance in the sense we need to copy our project in the common place, from the common repository, from where everybody will get access. Everybody is able to access your project. And here we use some tools called version control tools like Git and GitHub tools. So Git and GitHub is a tools are available, Git and GitHub. So these tools will be used to store our complete project. So these tools will maintain our project. Okay, now I'll just talk about Git and GitHub. This is also a very huge topic, guys. Okay, but I will share the detailed videos after the session, so you guys should watch those videos. It will take a long time. Okay, but very high level, I'll give you some overview how these tools will work. Okay, so once you have done your project, guys, you don't keep this project in your local system. Every day you do some, you should do some task. So at the end of the day, whatever task you have completed, suppose even if you automated single test case, you need to check in that particular test case in the common repository. So you should not, you can also keep in your local system one of the copy, but actual code should be check in your remote repositories. And everybody will do the same thing. So how exactly this version control system works? I'll just give you a very high level overview how this version control system works is. So suppose let us say I have multiple QA people. So, and everybody will work on different things, right? So each individuals work on different items and different things. So he's having their own local system. He's also having their own local systems. Everybody is having in their own laptops. They are working on this own laptops. So at the end of the day, what we need to do is we have a common place, right? So everybody, whatever the task they have completed, they have to check in their task or their code in the common place here. Now the final code will be present here. This is the final code. All the test cases will be here. So this is called as a remote repository. So this is called as a remote repository. And in each individual will be maintain their local repositories. Individual people will maintain their own local repositories. So currently we are working on workspace. This is basically Xlib's workspace. So I'm not talking about the workspace. Internally, everybody will install a software called as a Git software. That's called a local repository. So Git is a local repository. GitHub is a remote repository. So there are two kinds of repositories are there. So Git is a local repository. GitHub is a remote repository. So everybody whoever is working on the certain task, they have to install Git software in their local systems. So Git is just a folder will be created. All your files will be there in the Git repository. Now at the end of the day, they will send the code, or we can call the technical term is push the code. They will push that code into remote repository. Here GitHub is called as a remote repository. GitHub is a remote repository. And everybody will do the same thing. Now the final code will be there in the GitHub repository. From there, actual Jenkins and DevOps team will get that code. they don't get the code from our local systems. So they will get the code from the remote repositories. So here the complete code will be there, right? And each individual will perform certain number of tasks, their own tasks. And here also, suppose somebody else is created one of the test case. I don't have the test case. If I want to get the test case, from where I need to get it? From here, I can pull the test case. We can push it, we can pull it. So there are two actions are there, push and pull. So push means we can send our code to your remote repository. And pull means we can get that code into your local repository, your Git repository. Okay, so these two actions we can perform. So push and pull. So everybody will do the same thing. And every day, at the end of the day, once they have completed task, so they have to do the every day, they do the same thing. And unless until we have this code here, everybody is able to access that code. And they can also modify that code. So the managing all the code in proper versions, there will not be any conflicts. So all these things are taken care by the GitHub. There is version control system. So GitHub and Git is called as a version control systems. So Git is your local repository. GitHub is your remote repository. So Git is your local repository. GitHub is your remote repository, right? So now I will talk about how we can check in our code. So currently our code is present in your local system in your workspace. Now I need to send that code first into Git repository. From there I need to send to the remote repository. So how these things will happen, I will show you. And just a moment. So this is my just whiteboard. So let me show you how we can do this. So this is again step-by-step process, guys. Okay. So currently my code is present in my local system. So here my code is present in my workspace, right? So from this workspace, we need to send this code in your local Git repository. So we need to share that code into our Git repository. This is our local repository. And from there, we need to send the code into GitHub repository. GitHub repository. And suppose there are somebody else is taking in some files, we can also get those files into your Git repository, from there to your local repository. So these things we can perform. Okay. Now how we can do this? So these things we can perform using some Git commands, and through command prompt by using some Git commands we can do that. Or in Eclipse itself, there are some options are available. So Git plugin is already installed in your Eclipse by default. So by using those UI options, we can also perform the same action. So now I'm going to show you how to perform this using Eclipse itself. So there are some options are provided within the Eclipse itself. Okay. So this is called as a push action, and getting the files from remote repository or local system is called as a pull action. Push and a pull action. And here from the workspace to Git repository, if you want to share the files, here we call as a commit action. Here we call as a commit action. So these are the only three terms which we need to remember: commit, push, pull. Again, commit, push, pull. So these are the three activities we keep on doing every day. So whatever the new code updated or edited or modified or added, whatever changes you do, those changes should be part of your local repository first. You have to commit those changes to your local repository. Again, you need to push that changes into remote repository. So that is your GitHub repository. Okay. So this thing is a continuous process. Now I'll show you how to do this. But before doing this, we need to have a GitHub account. So Git you don't need to install, because by default Eclipse is having this particular plugin. You don't require that. But we need to have a GitHub account. GitHub account. So if you go to the Google, so there is a GitHub software. So if you just type GitHub, it will go to some URL, github.com. github.com. So you need to create an account for this. Basically, you need to create an account here. So I'm just go to the home page. So you have to create an account here. And first time you need to do some sign up. So it is just like a Facebook, LinkedIn sign up. You need to provide first name, last name, all these things. And then it will allow you to log into this particular website. So what we can do this here is, this is a basically social network. It is not exactly social network. It's a technical kind of stuff we can share. This is a remote repository. So GitHub is a remote repository. So now we need to check in our code into remote repository. So that's the ultimate goal. But before that, we need to cross all these steps. First, we need to have the code in Git repository. From there, we need to push the GitHub repository. Okay, but to do this, what we need to do is in the GitHub repository, once you log in into GitHub repository, we need to create an account. So create a repository, guys. We have to create a remote repository. So one repository we have to create. We have to create a new repository in the GitHub. And then we need to associate this remote repository URL with our local repository. I will show you step by step, please remember. So first step is we need to create a, so step one is we need to sign up, okay? Sign up to GitHub repository. Sign up to GitHub repository. So once you get the account, sign up to GitHub repository and get the account. So once you get that account, and then you need to log into the repository. So just step 2 is log into GitHub. Log into GitHub. So once you log into this GitHub, the next step is you need to create a new repository. So here you need to create a new repository. So how to create a new repository, I will show you now. So I already logged into my GitHub repository. So here I need to create a new repository. So you can find so many options here. You can find a new option here, or else we can find a plus button here. This will also create a new repository. Okay. Now I'm clicking on this new button. So it will ask you the name of the repository. So here I'm giving repository name. So I will give something called RestAssured. I'll say RestAssured employee project. So this is my repository name, guys. Okay, RestAssured employee project. So this is the name of the project. Now you can create public project or private project. Private is a license based, so we cannot have access. Select the public and then create a repository. So once you created your repository, it will give you some URL. So currently this repository doesn't have any files. It is completely empty repository. So now we need to capture this particular URL because this is very important for us. Now go here. Once you created new repository, you will get this particular URL. So this URL we need to use in your Eclipse. So once you have done this task in the GitHub repository, so you no need to go for GitHub repository. So for now, I don't require here. So I don't have any files currently in this particular repository. So let's minimize this. Again, we'll come back there. So we have signed up to GitHub repository URL, get that account, log into the GitHub, then create a new repository. So this repository is completely empty. It doesn't have anything. Okay. So now the step 4 is now within the Eclipse, we need to create our own repository. So within the Eclipse for this particular project, we need to create our own repository. That is your local repository. So create local Git repository within Eclipse using Eclipse plugin. How to create your local Git repository. So here I will show you how to do this. So there is quick access search box is there right here. What you can just type is, if I just say Git here, it will give you a search button here, Git repositories. Okay. So click on this Git repositories option. It will give you one more window in your Eclipse. So this is a window. This is the repositories window. So under Git repositories, I don't have any repositories currently. I don't have any local repositories. So now we need to create our local repository. We need to create our local repository. Or if you already have my global repository, which is already created in your here, we can also clone the repository. So you can create our own local repository, or we can also clone the repository. So clone the repository means we already created repository in the GitHub account. So we are cloning this repository into your local system. So now I'm doing the clone system here. Clone a Git repository. Now here it will ask you the URL of your project. See now automatically it's captured the URL, and which is we just now captured. And here it will give you host name, repository path. By default it will give you. Then here we need to provide the username and password of your GitHub repository. So I'm giving my user password of my GitHub account. So here this is my, okay, so this is my username, and also I'm giving password. So then click on next button. So it is basically cloning the repository into your local system. So again, click on this next. So now it is trying to create your local repository based on the remote repository. So this is the location of your local repository. So this is your location of your local repository. This is called as a cloning process. We already have a repository in the remote repository, that is on GitHub account. From there, based on that, we are cloning that repository into your local system, and here it is creating the local repository now. So have the default options and then click on the finish. So now it is created a new repository locally. Now you can see this repository here, RestAssured employee project. So this is the repository we have cloned. But our project is not part of this repository. So now we need to send our project to your local repository. From there, we need to send to your remote repository. So again, we should not forget this. So based on the GitHub repository URL, we have created our local repository. We have cloned that repository. Now we need to have all our files into your local repository, that is called Git repository. From there, we need to push them into GitHub repository. Okay. And if you go and see your GitHub account, currently we don't have any files. So this repository is completely empty. So now go back to the Eclipse. Now what I will do is I will add this project to this particular local repository. I will add this particular project to your local repository. How we can add it? So right click on your project, and here there is an option called team. Go to the team and apply the share project. So this is the first option you have to do. Okay, so I'll write one more step, create local Git repository within Eclipse. We are not creating, actually, we are cloning local Git repository within Eclipse using GitHub URL. Okay, and step 5 is, fourth step is automatically created the repository. And then step 5, we need to add our project to local Git repository. So now I'm doing this. So how to add it? Right click on your project, go to the team, select the share project. Right click, team, share project. So the navigation is right click, team, share project. Okay, so right click on this project, go to the team and share project. So here we need to select on which repository we have to share. So that we need to select. So it is already selected somewhere here. Okay, this is your workspace project, and which repository we are going to share is we need to select from this drop down. So currently we have this repository, select it and then click on the finish. So once you have done this, now complete your project is checked into your local repository. Your complete project is a part of your local repositories. Now if you expand this Git repository, you can also see all the project files here. See this is a project, and here also you can see src, test, java, com, employee API, test cases, everything you can see here. So now the complete project is part of your local repository. So right click, team, share project, and here select local repository from drop down and then finish. Okay, this is a step we need to do to add your project to your local Git repository. So now my project is part of your Git repository, right? So now we need to push this repository to the remote repository. So currently all my files are there in your Git repository. So now we need to push them into a remote repository. So how we can do that? So right click on your local repository, right click, and here you can see a lot of options: commit, fetch from Appium, pull, and a lot of things. And same options you can also see here. Right click on the project. So again, go to the team, and this time you will see a lot of options. And previously we seen only share option, but this time you will get a lot of options. You can right click on the repository, or you can right click on your project. Anywhere it is fine. So now I'm right click on the project, go to the team. Now if you see here, commit option is there, and also Okay, so here there will be one more option. Okay, so the first option is add to index, guys. So this is the main thing we need to do. So what is this add to index is? So we cannot directly, okay, so currently our code is a part of Git repository, right? So, but still it is not in Git repository. Just we have added all the files to Git repository. So we need to add the index. So there will be some between these two, workspace and remote local repository, there will be some location will be there. This is called as a staging area. This is also called as a staging area. And first we need to send our project to staging area. From there, we need to send to the Git repository. So this is also called as an index. So what we need to do is, we need to right click on your project, go to the team, and here you can find one option called, just one. So here, add to index, sorry. So here it is there. So add to index. So once you click on this option, so now these all files are part of index. Right click, add to index. So that's the next step. Again, one more time. Right click, add to index. Now again, one more time, right click. Again, go to the team. Now use this option, commit. Once you click on the commit, it will show you this window. So currently all files are staged there. So now we need to push all these files to your remote repository. So now we need to commit all the changes to your remote repository. So here we need to write the comment message. So I'm writing some message. So this is my first commit. This is my first commit. So what I have done to get this particular screen is, I'm closing one more time. I'm right clicking on this, go to the team, and commit option we have to use. Right click, team, commit. So one more thing here. The next step is right click again, and then team, and then commit. Right. So now right click, team, commit. So this will give you this particular window. So now these are the staged changes. These changes should be part of your remote repository. So I have written some comment before sending them to the remote repository. We must specify the comment. So once you've provided this comment, then we need to use this option. If I click on only commit button, so these changes are part of local repository itself. And when I click on commit and push, these changes will be part of your remote repository. So now I'm pressing commit and push. Now observe what will happen. So when I click on commit and push, now it will ask you the URL, and this is the branch. Now clicking on the next. Now here it will ask you username and password of your GitHub repository. So now I am providing my GitHub repository login details. So this is my GitHub repository login details. Then click on login. So now all your code will be pushed into your remote repository. So once you finish this, now all your code will be pushed into repository. One more time it is asking, just once or twice it will ask. You need to provide the details multiple times. And again, I'm providing my username and password. Okay, then click on login. So now all your project files will be pushed into your remote repository. So once it is done, then close it. Now, how you can verify? Just go to your GitHub repository. So previously we don't have any files. Now if you refresh your page, here you can see all your project files. Now we can see the complete project is there. Once you click on this, you will see all the project files. And where our test cases are there. So if you click on this, here under base class test cases, utilities, all the stuff is there. Now, if you share this particular URL with anybody else, they can also see this particular code. They can also download this code. Okay. So this is how we need to push the code into a remote repository. So if you just clone or download, if I share this URL with you guys can access my project. You can also download my complete project in your system. So this is called GitHub URL. Okay. And once you have pushed everything into the GitHub repository, suppose tomorrow I have added one more test case. let us say in the same project, let us say I have added one more test case. So let me, just for your understanding, I'm adding that. Okay, so go to the new class, let's say test case. Okay, let's say test case dummy. Okay, I have added one more test cases, just a dummy test case. Now this is not part of your remote repository, so still there in my local repository, right? So what we need to do now, so select only that particular file, go to the team and go to add to index. Same steps we have to repeat, guys. So these are the same 3 steps we have to, every time we need to repeat. So index we have added. Now again right click, team, commit. Now here, this is the only file we need to check in now. So all the rest of the files are already checked into the remote repositories. Now here write the one more commit message. So committing, or we can say adding new test case. Then click on commit and push. Now again this file also will be pushed to the remote repository. Now I am again providing my username and also password. Click on login. So now my file is going to push into remote repositories. Again click on the push to employee origin, so close. So once it is done, so again go to your remote repositories and again refresh your page. So go to your project, click on your project, go to your test cases. So under test cases, you should be able to see test case dummy.java. So the new file I have added just now. So similarly, you need to keep on adding new files every day. And as soon as I have completed those test cases, add to index and add to commit. So as soon as you committed, those changes will be part of your remote repositories. So everybody will do the same thing every day. So this is the final step, guys. Suppose somebody else is added here some other test case, which is not part of your local system, then how we can get it? So far we have seen only these actions. So Git repository, from there push it to GitHub repository, but somebody else is added some file here. How we can get that particular file into your local system? So now we need to send a pull request. So for example, let me add one file here manually. So how to add a file here is just click on create a new file. I'm directly adding a new file in the remote repository. Assume that this file is checked in by somebody else. So let's say test case, okay, dummy 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So what I can do here is I'm just creating this file and it just adds something here. And if you just come down, create commit new file. So it will create a new file in your remote repository. So now test case dummy 1, 2, 3, 4, and which is not part of your local system, but I want to get that particular file. So how we can get it? So right click on your project here, go to the team, and here you will have an option called pull. So this option will give you that particular file. So click on just pull here. So once you click on that option, so again click on the close. Now you will get this particular file. So test case dummy 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, you got this one. So in your local system. So you can open the file, you can add something here. You can also modifying all the stuff. So once you have modified, but again, these modifications are not part of the actual test in the GitHub repository. So I need to make these changes, should be part of your remote file, right? So if you go and see your remote file, if I open this test case dummy, still it is having only one line, right? But I want to update this file in my local system. Again, I will resend the changes into remote repository. So once I have done the changes, save it. Again, now I will send this particular file into your repository. So right click on this particular file, again go to the team, now go to commit, or first we can add to index, and once you have added to index, then go to team and then again commit. Okay, so this is the only file which we have to commit. So select that particular file and click on commit and push. But before that, we need to write a comment here. So committing, or we have changed, what test case we have changed? Test case dummy 1, 2, 3, 4. So this file we have changed. So just write some meaningful comment there and then click on commit and push. So once we have done this, again it is asking your GitHub URL. Specify that GitHub account, then provide your username and password, click on login. So it will push the changes into your remote repository. Previously there is only one line is available. Now if you go and see the same file, open the same file which contains multiple lines. So like this we need to switch on and switch back to remote repositories out to the local repositories. So this is how we need to maintain the code. So once your code is part of your remote repository, so by using this particular URL, everybody in your team can access your project. Everybody in your team can access your project. They can also download the complete project in their Eclipse, and they can add some more files, and they can also add the changes to the same repository. So this is a concept of maintenance. So that's the last one. Version control system. This is called as a version control system. So Git and GitHub is a version control system tools. We can say configuration management tools also we can call them. Okay, so these are the steps we need to follow to work with the Git and GitHub repositories. So this is all about maintenance of the code. So we need to keep our code in the common place from where everybody can access your project, and you can do changes, updates as and when we require. So we have done the framework. So design and development of framework we have done. Execution, how many ways we can execute our project we have seen. And finally, how we can maintain the code in common repositories. So using Git and GitHub repositories. So that process I also have shown by using plugin within your Eclipse. And we can also do all these activities using commands. There are Git commands are available. So by using those commands also we can do that. And here I have explained by using Git plugin within your Eclipse. Okay, this is the simplest way. All right. So that's all for your RestAssured framework, guys. So with this, we have completed RestAssured automation, and we have automated number of test cases, and also we have seen the framework by using TestNG. Also, we have seen some continuous integration process. Okay.